Letting us hear your story this morning.
Thank you for having me here.
So let's start with some basics. So first of all, who's Lilian? Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Like Alex said, I was born and raised in Brazil. When I was 6 months, my dad left our house. So my mom had no other option besides being a go-getter. So I started learning my leadership skills there. When I was 17, I was playing professional volleyball, and the coach from University of Arkansas went there to select 5 players, and I was one of them. And you had to take an English English test to come, and I was the only one that passed. So I came by myself to Arkansas, and it was a good journey, and I could see God's finger choosing me to be there for a reason. My plan was to come, get the full scholarship for 4 years, and go back home. But God had different plans. So my last year met my husband, who's here tonight, this morning. And we decided to get engaged. He was a missionary in Hawaii, and he wanted to go to a college in Missouri. So he needed a referral letter to go to that college. And his dad knew that my mom's boss in Brazil went to the same college. So he called my mom and said, I need a letter for my son who's going to Missouri. And my mom said, well, I have a daughter in Arkansas. Let's connect them both. So that's when our story started. And when we decided to get engaged, we thought about either living in Massachusetts or in Arkansas. We picked Massachusetts.
Logically. A lot of Brazilian immigration to Massachusetts. So this is your family, right?
Yes. I have my son Samuel, he's 7, and my daughter Sarah, who's 5.
Okay, so let's begin to wade into the story a bit. So, live in Brazil, come to the U.S. as an athlete, meet this hunk of a guy, move to Massachusetts. How in the world do you end up getting involved in this business? I mean, you didn't start Unit Pro.
No.
But now you're here leading it. So tell us the story. How did you end up running Unit Pro?
Sure. When Silvano, my husband, is also from Brazil, and he's been living in the U.S. since '95. So when he was a teenager, his dad has a job cleaning, and it would take him on to help him out. And he never felt, they felt kind of mistreated by the supervisors, and he thought about, if one day I had my company, I'll definitely treat people differently. Then in 2006, we met this Christian man that had a cleaning company in Boston, and he saw Worcester, where we live, which is Central Mass, as a potential. So they both got together and started growing this company in Worcester, and they started getting their first account, second account. In the meanwhile, I had my job in sales, and then I became sales manager. But in 2009, they decided to split because of different values. And the partner told him, like, I do the sales and you do the operations, so who's gonna do sales for you if we split? And then my husband said, my wife. And the partner said, no, this job is for tough guys. It would be hard for her to succeed. But I heard that. So that was another motivation for me to start growing the company.
You're competitive, are you?
Just a little.
So someone told you couldn't do it, so you joined the company in 2010. So let's talk a little about the growth journey, because it's a pretty cool story, right? So you joined 2010. It was a pretty small business.
Yes.
I mean, you could name all the employees.
Yes.
Minimal sales, few accounts, and it's kind of grown since then. In fact, Alex shared some numbers, but those are kind of old numbers, right? So, I mean,
it just keeps growing.
So tell us a little about the scaling journey.
Sure. In 2010, we had about 4 accounts. And right now we have 144. This is a picture of our leadership and supervisors.
This is your management team.
Correct.
You have more managers than you had people before.
Correct. Right now we are about 170 plus employees. And from the 4 accounts to go to 144, I just used them as a referral. And I leveraged for being woman-owned and got some government accounts with that. And the same client loved us so much, they keep talking about us. So using referrals and networking. And the last 2 years really God took off, and our sales just keep going like this. And our employees' growth keep going like this too.
Yeah, so I understand you gave us these numbers, and these numbers are wrong because you sandbag your numbers. So we have this chart on the screen. And you're like, oh yeah, we've added $500,000 since then, right? So this chart's kind of got this fun vertical climb. How's that been? I mean, how's it been in the middle of all that?
Thank goodness for C12. right? They give us all the resources.
We like that answer. That's good.
We started hiring a very good management team, and then I pray every day that God, we are constantly hiring, so I want God to help me with that, right? I don't want to do the job alone, and God just have been bringing amazing people alongside of us. Brian, this says 6.7 million, but we're going to be 7.5 this year.
Keep going. You know, we heard this morning Matthew 5:16 in the devotional, and talked about letting your light shine before men, and it's been pretty cool. I mean, those kind of charts get you audiences, right? I mean, you've had a chance to be Small Businesswoman of the Year for Massachusetts, recognized as a Woman Enterprise Owner in New England. It's been really cool to see God make Matthew 5:16 play out for you. So I understand there's this day in C12. So you joined C12 when?
January 2015.
Okay, so you joined January 2015. You went to a conference that year, and your business is already starting to grow. It already had grown. Mm-hmm. But I understand there was a day in C12, you were doing a core business presentation, mm-hmm. and there's kind of a record stop, and the story began to change. Tell us about this day in C12.
Correct, because Silvano's dad is a senior pastor of our church, so there was always that expectation that he will follow his steps. And especially in the Brazilian culture, it's very normal that the oldest son of the pastor will take over the church. But we didn't feel that was our call. And Silvano always thought that our company could be our ministry. But how? Was it legal? Where are the resources? So we went to that conference 2015 in C12, and we heard great speakers, Dave Dunco and some other great ones. And we left that conference and said, this is it. That was mind-blowing for us. We left the conference, we both prayed together, Lord, let us love our employees. Let us put in our way how we can bring them closer to you. Because loving people is better than knowing. And out of these 170 employees that we have, most of them are non-believers. So how are we going to get them closer to you? We know that they're not reading Bibles, but they're reading you, because they know you're the Christian one. So one day we were doing this community impact, where we picked a local shelter in the area.
No, back up. So you're in C12 meeting, you're doing your core business presentation, and we talked about your EVA, economic value add.
Yes.
Charts are good. Team value add, your team was doing better. And then there's this three little letters, SVA, that we do. Mm-hmm. What changed? What happened in that moment?
In my presentation, that's when I realized that we're not in the cleaning business, we're in the people business. And if God be putting these people to work for us, it must be a reason. So when we wake up every day, it's not to run a business, but it's to run our ministry. Can I share about the story now?
You let me run the interview,
So there is this cool day, we were doing a community impact, and then we picked a local shelter to clean. And this is a time where nobody's getting paid. Employees donated their hours, and we donated the machines and chemicals just to impact our local community. And I went with them, and we put our uniforms. And that's a picture of me, one of our employees, and the director of the shelter. And we were there doing this project. And as soon as I arrived there with the uniform, the director asked, so who is the owner here? And I had to raise my hand. And in that moment, I realized that's how God sees us, right? There's not CEO, manager, employees, cleaners. He sees us all the same. Mm-hmm. We try sometimes to put more value in shareholder versus clients versus employees. But technically, at the end of the day, we're all the same, and that's how God sees us. So serving people is actually teaching us lessons too. And then the more you serve, the more you want to continue to serve.
Mm-hmm. So you run a cleaning company, and you guys have this up on the wall. Mm-hmm. You guys have a mission statement: bringing buildings to life through the quality of our people and the service we provide to the glory of God. And then you went to the effort of putting these core values. These actually mean something to you, don't they? So tell me, what does this look like in a cleaning company?
Sure. Thank goodness for my chair that encouraged us to do this right away, because after we put that on the wall, we keep pointing out to them all the time how we hire, how we fire, how we treat our people. And a lot of them come to our office saying, well, in previous companies I felt like mop heads, and here you really give me meaning to my work. we tell them, you're just as important as a nurse. You're just as important as a teacher, because if you're not there cleaning the day before, they cannot perform their work. So we show that their value of their work, and all goes back to our mission statement, our core values. And we try to have them memorize, try to have that stuck to their heart, and that's why we do some other cool things.
Tell me about this puzzle. What's this puzzle represent?
Correct. Our chair keeps telling us, do some creative things so people can memorize your mission statement, your core values. So one of our parties, we create this puzzle and we put it in each table, and the group that could put it together faster and could recite all the letters will get prizes.
So you guys talk about this stuff all the time.
Yes.
I imagine men and women come work for you and are not used to being brought up to be viewed as equals, peers, and where every single thing matters and lives out these values, right? That's part of what you guys, it's the difference of your culture, right?
Correct.
So let's dovetail into something. So our whole theme in C12, right, is great business, greater purpose. So you've obviously got the graphs that show great business. We're going to come back into some things about how you guys have sustained that growth. But I want to double click on greater purpose for a second. So we talk about it, but you've been particularly bold. There's a bunch of things you've done. So would you give people a bit of a spectrum from going, how do we do this, to now what you're doing? What are some of the elements of you living out greater purpose at Unit Pro?
Sure. We implemented some ministry work, and all through C12 materials, the 101 ideas you guys gave us. In every devotional, we included, in every paycheck, we included a devotion, because we figure if there's one envelope that they will open, is their paycheck.
Smart.
And we also do prayer before each meetings. We have this prayer board that I steal an idea from my friend Dean Harrington. And we have the prayer requests on the left and prayers answers on the right. And I'm very happy to say that they're both full.
Amen.
And when we have a new employee coming, believers or non-believers, they all go and put their post-it. It's optional, but it's so amazing to see how much they have faith that we'll be praying for them, and we'll be praying. And then when we move one stick note to the right, we just praise Lord for that. And then we also have marketplace chaplains. I know they're in the room. We just started not too long ago.
Amen.
And we are one of the most difficult companies for them, because we are spread it out in 3 different states. We do 3 different shifts, 7 days a week. And we have people where English is not their primary language. There's actually 5 different languages spoken. And they were able to fulfill all these obstacles. And in the first quarters, we had 11 times where they preached the gospel to our employees.
Amen.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
So you guys have got this foundation. You got chaplains and prayer and culture, and you got things you're doing. But you guys keep pushing the envelope, right? You get going, how do we follow Jesus in this business? So tell us some other things you do in the category of a greater purpose at work that people may not think are just normal.
Sure. One of my friends, Paul, where's Paul Marston? Yes. He referred me a book called Every Good Endeavor in one of our meetings, and it talks about profit with a purpose. And my husband also read a book called Dream Manager. And then we keep thinking, we do these great things for community and for company, but how about if we find out individual needs? So 2 employees were stressed, and we came to ask them, what's going on? We have this debt. I want to buy a house. I can't because those credit cards are going crazy. So we paid their debt, and now they're paying us back with no interest. We had a couple that God keep putting in my heart. Every Mother's Day and Father's Day, I couldn't, enjoy my day without thinking about them because they have fertility issues. And I boldly one day came to them and asked them, God has been putting in my heart. I've been praying for you. What have you done? It's like, Lilian, we don't know. We don't think we have the money or the resources. The insurance doesn't cover. And I said, okay, we would like to help with that. So we have been paying for their fertility, and in a couple months they're going to go to their first cycle. And another cool story, we had this couple that the man showed up in our office crying, and he ran to my husband's office. And I keep thinking, out of every place that he could go, he thought about the office to go. And we found out that his wife kicked him out of the house. And one of the reasons was because they never got married on paper. They've been together for 17 years, but never married. And in couple months before that, I remember in our C12 material had wedding, and we even laughed like, wedding? You know what we have to do with that? And I thought about, okay, so let's make that wedding. So we had one employee that's also a photographer taking pictures. We had other employees that could decorations decorating. The company paid for the food. My pastor led the ceremony. My daughter was a flower girl.
That's called having a family culture in business, I'd say.
So this couple is happy they're together, and they go back to our office with their ring, and we can just glorify God for that victory.
That's awesome. So let's go back a little bit. So I know a little bit about your business. I mean, you're in an industry that's notoriously thin margin, high stress, crazy hours, low margins, poor treatment of people, and where the norm, like a good day, is 85% turnover, which means for a business like yours, you got to hire 120 people a year just to stay even with labor demand. So that's the norm. But as I got to hear about your business and see the awards you got, rumor has it your guys' turnover is like less than 15%, which is, I mean, a radically competitive advantage. So how do you guys do that? Because, I mean, your business is just known. That's what happens, the single commercial cleaning companies. And you guys are like this unicorn. How do you guys achieve that?
So, yeah, before coming to the event, I even had my HR manager checking. So I'm not lying
Double
here.
check your math.
Our number's 13.5% turnover.
So revenue's higher, turnover is lower than I said. That's good. Okay.
And I think what differentiates us, it starts from our culture, of course. And again, by C12 members, I read this book called The Servant. And The Servant talks about how the past people are worried about making their top managers happy, like a military rank. Like the soldiers were worried about what the supervisor would think about them. And The Servant talks about the opposite, which is the upside down of the triangle, where me as a CEO, I'm worrying about serving my leadership team. They are worrying about serving the supervisors. Supervisors are worrying about serving the cleaners, and the cleaners ultimately will serve the clients. And I remember our manager saying, I'm so worried about what do you think about me and how it's going to be my review. I was like, don't worry about me. Worry about serving the people under you. And with that servant mind, I always bring that picture to our meetings. Remember, how can you serve people under you better? And with that mentality in mind, I think was a culture shift, and that's what kept us with a low turnover and employees feeling that we care about them. Like all our cleaners, we have an app where they can scan whatever they are, and they can give suggestions, and we hear them, we go back to them. We had a workers' compensation case not too long ago. Employee fell, got hurt. Insurance came, and we were alongside with them. And he even tried to go to a lawyer, right, to get a settlement and all that. But last week he called my HR. He's like, I'm not going to go through the lawyer. I just want to go back to work. I really like working with you guys. And just yesterday, I got an email from my insurance agents. I never saw this. You must really care for your employees.
That's awesome.
Praise God.
So here's the part I've been most looking forward to having you talk about. So when I've heard about your story, followed your story, got to know you, the part that's most baffling to me is, okay, you've got this business that's done those graphs we saw earlier. That's really cool. 10X, who doesn't want to do that? You've got 2 little children. You've got a husband you're crazy about. You got this faith that matters, and you go, okay, well, something's got to give. Like, how do you do all these things well? So where's the ball drop? And you don't seem crazy. Like, I've talked to you, and so I wanted to call your talk like, how are you not crazy? So, how are you not crazy?
That's a good question. I do get that question a lot. Well, my husband doesn't think I'm crazy, so that's a good
Maybe it's
one.
the wrong question.
Yeah. It all starts setting up your priority. So I go early to the office and I do my devotional, and there's no negotiation with that. I can't tell you, and so many stories where my day goes by and I keep bringing back to my devotion in the morning, right? My time with the Lord is priority. And it's the best ROI that we can have, right? For our business and for my family. And then in 2015, Dave Dunkel again. Where's Dave Dunkel? Yay! We love you. It's one of our favorite guys. Dave Dunkel has his ranch in New Hampshire, and he opened up his house for a retreat for many of our C12 members in New England. And when we went to his house, the end of 2015, we were not in a good spot, married-wise. My husband was just closing up a different business with his brother, and we kind of not knowing what to do. And on that moment, we talked about abiding and praying together in the night, and that was a changing point for us. From that moment on, my husband and I, we don't make any decisions if we're not praying together. So priorities, my time with the Lord first. Second, as a wife, going home and shifting the button and not being the first in command, being the second in command, it's not easy. But I've been practicing a lot. And I kind of like it being the second in command, being at home, because you go from CEO to a wife to a mom, and really letting my husband lead our house and obeying the Bible. I felt that was a blessing for me. So yearly after year, keep getting better in that, I guess. And as for the kids, I know as a CEO, we can work as many hours as we want. But I told my chair, I was like, I don't want to be one of those CEOs that are super successful in their business, but not successful at home. You cannot only be from 9 to 5, right? You need to be around the clock. Before C12, I used to belong to another group, it was a secular group, and I had men that working 7 to 10, getting divorced, and those are advice that I was getting, and it didn't feel right. So my chair told me, pray about it, and let God show you what are your hours, right? The world says a CEO needs to work 50, 60, but what are your hours? So at 5 o'clock, I leave my desk. It doesn't matter if I have tons of things to do, and I go home, and I truly have time with my kids. I put my phone on the side, and no TVs.
You do what?
You have to, right? Because what's the point of being with your kids and being on your phone? And my husband and I, we decided we don't want to be one of those parents that later on when they grow say, I wish I had spent more time with them, right? So we take them to activities we don't let other people take, because my son, he does a go and he's looking to see if mommy's looking, a karate move, and he's looking to see if we're looking. So we want to create memorable times together. So I do bedtime stories with them, homework with them, and we have this very cool thing that my members encourage me to bring to you guys tonight, where every Friday we call our Incredible Night. My son picked that costume for us, and all of a sudden every Friday became our Incredible Night, where they are in control of the night. They pick it's a board game, it's a movie, what we're gonna do for fun as a family. And how you feel on Friday night? Tell me, like your energy level is going down, but we do force ourselves to be present for them. And you have no idea, they keep talking about this incredible night in school. On Thursday night, they can't wait for tomorrow night. We can have guests in our house and we still do the incredible night.
You do the costumes with guests too? Who wants to do Friday night at the Red Key Home?
The funny day was the day a pizza guy showed up and I opened the door and I forgot I was in there. It wasn't Halloween, so I couldn't give any excuse. But I would say we have control of our times, so we can, right? You have small kids, so you know what it's like, how much time they need from you. I know my son needs a one-on-one with me, my daughter needs a one-on-one with me, and I don't want them to grow up and say, oh, mommy, good job, you have this amazing business, but you kind of forgot about us. So right now, in our generation, we have enough information and resources to really spend quality time with our kids and don't give any excuses.
Amen.
But how did you navigate the first time that got tested? Because it'd be one thing if you had a steady state business and you just had all, management teams in place and everything, but you had children and made these decisions the last few years while your business is doing this, which means you're hiring, you're changing, you're dealing with all these issues, and you set business hours and put these big rocks in.
Yes.
I'm assuming there had to be days where that got completely tested.
Yes.
How do you? Because there's a bunch of people in the room thinking you are crazy, actually. I mean, how many of you guys can imagine having those charts and graphs and saying my hours are 8 to 5? I mean, doesn't that just seem crazy?
But God will honor you. God will honor you for doing that. When people say, how you do it, it's like, God has been honoring me. And I think the key to that is hiring good management people that you delegate and empower them and really trust them to do their work. 2 years ago when I had my CBP and the people do the office audit, these amazing people come to my office, interview my staff, my key players, and the number one answer was, we want Lilian to feel empowered. We want Lilian to empower us. If a customer emails her and me, sometimes she would like to jump in and answer and be worried about it. I want to handle that, and I want her out of the picture. And I said, good, if that's what you want. And after my CBP, I truly empower them and let them, and they resolve problems better than you, right? So I trust them, and that felt so much freedom on my schedule to really focus on the growth and in strategic planning and let them do the day-to-day operations.
I remember when you and I were first talking, I was trying to go, really? And you talk, how did you keep those priorities and grow like that? And you're saying, well, how could I have grown like that if I didn't keep those priorities?
Right.
Would God have honored that? So which is the causality there? I'd like you to transition into some of the things God has taught you that we need to all hear today. And so we talked about, you get a chance to challenge. There's 800 people in this room. There's a couple thousand people who will watch this next week. There's people all around the world. What are some challenges that you'd offer peers on a journey with you?
Cool. First of all, leave this conference and really praying to God. Why God have put these employees in front of you? It must be for a reason that they're working for you and not for somebody else. Really love them. And God will give you the right tools to bring them closer to God, because that's our ultimate goal, right? Second thing, when you call me and say, Lilian, think about something that you want to share with the group, and I went and pray about it, and God keep giving me John 10:10 about abundance life, and that brought me to our balance wheel. And in 2015, that's how my balance wheel looked like. In 2009, I'm proud to say that the last couple of months I feel really blessed and balanced. And my heart really aches when I do see a member with a really low score for months after months after months. In our group, our chair says, speak truth in love. And some of us are pretty good with that.
That's New England for you.
When we see a member scoring 4 with Walk with God, 4, and have a major decision to make family or business-wise, then we have some of our members, Rachel's a good one. It's like, how come you're making the decisions and your score is 4? Go back to 9 or 10, and then you come and make your decision. So us at C12, we can be... C12 is when we can be vulnerable, we can be true and open up ourselves. So what I would love to do for us brothers and sisters to come along and help each other to get that wheel balance, and don't rest until we make that happen, right?
You even went so far as to say, I don't think we're successful if our wheels look like that.
Right.
Right. So it's not how do I be successful and get a balanced wheel.
Correct.
But that wheel's not actually successful.
In my opinion. I don't know, what do you think?
I think you're right on.
I know that God, when He talks about abundance, He's not talking only abundance in our business or in our financial. He talks about in every area of that balance wheel. And there was a purpose why you guys made us, right? Think about every month. I truly say that I have peace in my home, peace in the business, in my finance, my nutrition. And I can't tell you enough how it gives you freedom and to wake up every day and feel that balance. Amen. And I want the same for everybody in this room here. And if you cannot get there, look up in your table. Those are the people that are going to help you to get where you are, right? To get where you want it to be.
So let's hit your third challenge, and it's my favorite thing you said. I kept going back to how are you not crazy? Maybe you are crazy. Okay, so you've got this commitment to this time with God, this abiding in your kids, and you've got this crazy business. And I kept going back and saying, how do you stay true to that? Like, how do you not let go and grab the craziness around you? And you made a statement. So tell us about your third challenge.
Third challenge to gamble on God and not on you. As a CEOs in this room, we have so many talents, skills, that is so easy for us to trust us in making decisions from small to large. But there are points in our life that if we're not connected to God, what are we going to do? So, like I mentioned, from hiring to firing to accepting a client, I'm always gambling on God and trusting Him. Last night we heard an amazing story about he trusted the Lord. I remember that we were about to get this large government account. It was $500,000 per year. It was to clean a courthouse in New Hampshire. And in my own eyes, it seemed look good. And will be good for our reputation to clean a courthouse. They are known to have the pickiest judges in New Hampshire. So if you make them happy, you can make anybody happy. And I keep praying, Lord, only let that happen if to be a blast for us and to them. And we ended up getting the contract. And I knew, God was blessing us. But to get it, we needed a bond for $500,000. And I never had to get a bond. So I called my insurance company and said, they're impossible. You're going to go from 0 to $500,000 bond. Impossible. But try other companies. Try 2 other ones? No. Then I called the contracting officer for the contract saying, how about if I don't get a bond? What's going to happen? Because we already started cleaning there. It's like, well, I never had to bypass that. Keep trying, and then we talk again. And then I finally called SBA, and SBA referred me to this other insurance agency. And they said, well, this is going to be hard, but we're going to try. And that was Christmas and New Year's, so nobody did any work for those periods. And in January, the insurance guy called me and said, do you believe in God? I said, yes. Well, Washington just passed a law for janitorial service companies in a new bond program, and you're going to be the first one to get it. Good luck, you're accepted.
But there's still these mornings, right? There's these mornings where you have to decide when the next $500,000 account's on the line, and people are calling in sick, and your inbox is blowing up, whether or not you're going to start your day asking God what He wants your day to be like, and whether you're going to see your kids and see your husband and run to work, or whether you skip that. How do you make that decision each day? Like, how do you weigh that?
I remember about Rick Ferris, my chair.